Imagine being arrested not for a crime, not for violence, not even for speech, but for how you treated a piece of cloth. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet in one country, the way you display, touch, fold, or even wear a flag can carry serious consequences. In the Philippines, the national flag is not just a symbol waving in the wind. It is protected by law with a level of seriousness that surprises even seasoned travelers. From public spaces to private homes, from protests to festivals, the flag commands a kind of reverence that borders on sacred. This isn't about nationalism in the loud, aggressive sense. It's about history, memory, sacrifice, and identity. To understand why the Philippines enforces one of the strictest flag laws in the world, you must first understand what that flag has witnessed, and what it still represents today. The Philippine flag may look simple at first glance. Blue, red, white, a sun and 3 stars. But every element carries a story written in blood, resistance, and survival. This flag was born during revolution, designed while the country fought to break free from colonial rule. It was first unfurled not in peace, but in war, a declaration that Filipinos would no longer accept silence or submission. The colors themselves change meaning depending on circumstance. When flown with red on top, it signals that the nation is at war. Few flags in the world have such a built-in declaration of conflict. For Filipinos, the flag is not decoration. It is a living witness to centuries of struggle, and the law exists to protect that memory from being diluted, mocked, or forgotten. To outsiders, strict flag rules may feel excessive. Why should clothing, advertising, or social media posts be regulated because of a flag? But for Filipinos, the answer lies in lived experience. This nation endured over 300 years of Spanish colonization, followed by American rule, and later occupation during World War II. Generations grew up seeing foreign flags fly above their land while their own identity was suppressed. When independence finally came, the Philippine flag became more than a symbol of statehood. It became proof of survival. Laws protecting the flag were shaped by the fear of losing that hard-won identity again. Disrespect toward the flag is not seen as casual expression. It's felt as an insult to ancestors who fought, suffered, and died under its colors. One of the most striking aspects of Philippine flag law is how specific it is. You cannot use the flag as clothing, table covers, curtains, or decorative drapes. You cannot print it on napkins, pillows, or costumes. You cannot display it upside down unless the country is officially at war. Even letting the flag touch the ground is considered an act of disrespect. These rules aren't symbolic suggestions. They are legally enforceable under the Flag and Heraldic Code of the Philippines. For many Filipinos, these rules are taught early in school, reinforced during ceremonies, and quietly observed in daily life. The flag isn't something you casually throw on a shirt. It demands intention, care, and respect. Contrast this with how flags are treated elsewhere. In many countries, flags appear on swimsuits, sneakers, coffee mugs, and social media filters. They're part of pop culture, fashion, and protest art. In the Philippines, that approach would be seen as deeply inappropriate. This difference often shocks tourists and even members of the Filipino diaspora who grew up abroad. But the restriction isn't about control, it's about meaning. When something sacred is used too freely, it risks becoming ordinary. Philippine flag laws exist to prevent that erosion. They draw a clear line between expression and exploitation, reminding people that some symbols carry weight beyond personal style or commercial value. There's also a quiet emotional layer to these laws that doesn't appear in legal text. For many Filipino families, the flag is tied to personal sacrifice. Grandparents who survived war, parents who lived under martial law, relatives who served in the military. Their stories are woven into the fabric of that symbol. When the flag is raised during national holidays, it often brings silence, not cheers. Respect, not spectacle. This emotional connection explains why violations spark strong reactions online and offline. What might seem harmless to one person can feel like an erasure of pain and pride to another. The law reflects that emotional consensus. The flag deserves dignity because the people behind it endured so much. Interestingly, Philippine flag law also governs when and how the flag should be displayed during moments of grief. When the nation mourns, the flag is flown at half-mast, following strict protocols. Even in death, respect matters. During funerals of national heroes, the flag may drape a coffin, but only in a precise way, never covering the face, and always folded ceremonially afterward. These practices reinforce the idea that the flag is not a prop, but a participant in national life. It appears during moments of pride and sorrow alike. The law ensures that in both moments, the symbol is treated with the same seriousness as the people it represents. Social media has introduced new challenges to these traditions. In an age of viral trends, filters, and digital activism, the line between expression and disrespect can blur quickly. A stylized edit, a protest graphic, or a fashion shoot featuring the flag can ignite controversy overnight. Philippine flag law now operates in a world its authors never imagined, one where images travel faster than context. Yet the core principle remains unchanged. The flag must not be altered, defaced, or used in a way that diminishes its integrity. This tension between modern expression and traditional respect is ongoing, forcing younger generations to confront what patriotism looks like in a digital age. What makes the Philippine approach unique is that enforcement isn't always driven by police or courts. It's often enforced socially. Families correct children. Teachers remind students. Online communities call out misuse. This collective guardianship shows that the law isn't just a top-down rule. It reflects a shared cultural value. Even Filipinos living abroad often carry this mindset with them, folding flags carefully during events, correcting improper displays, and passing the rules to their children. The flag becomes a portable piece of home, and the law follows it not through force, but through belief. That shared belief is stronger than any written statute. At its core, the strictness of Philippine flag law isn't about punishment, it's about preservation. It asks a simple but powerful question. What happens when a nation forgets the meaning of its symbols? In protecting the flag, the Philippines protects its story, one of resistance, resilience, and quiet pride. In a world where symbols are constantly recycled, remixed, and monetized, the Philippine flag stands apart, guarded not just by law, but by memory. Understanding these laws isn't just about knowing what's allowed or forbidden. It's about understanding why some nations hold their symbols close to the heart, because once lost, meaning is far harder to recover. The strictness of the Philippine flag law becomes even more meaningful when placed beside moments of national crisis. During times of political unrest, natural disasters, or military tension, the flag often becomes a focal point of unity rather than division. Unlike in some countries where flags are used aggressively in protests, Filipinos are taught that the flag itself must remain neutral, above political conflict. It represents the people, not any single leader or ideology. This distinction is crucial. Even when emotions run high, the law discourages turning the flag into a weapon of anger. In doing so, it protects the symbol from being dragged into temporary disputes, preserving its role as a unifying presence rather than a partisan one. This philosophy traces back to painful chapters in Philippine history when symbols were manipulated by those in power. During periods of authoritarian rule, national imagery was sometimes used to silence dissent or manufacture loyalty. These experiences left scars that shaped how Filipinos think about patriotism today. Respecting the flag does not mean blind obedience to the state. Instead, it means honoring the people and the struggles that predate any government. The law draws a line between reverence and propaganda. By regulating how the flag is used, it limits the ability of anyone, including authorities, to distort its meaning. In a quiet way, the law protects not just the flag, but the integrity of national memory itself. Education plays a powerful role in sustaining this respect. In Philippine schools, students don't simply see the flag. They are taught how to raise it, fold it, salute it, and understand its symbolism. These rituals are repeated year after year, embedding a sense of responsibility rather than fear. Children grow up knowing that the flag is not untouchable, but it is not casual either. Demands awareness. This early education ensures that by adulthood, respect for the flag feels instinctive rather than imposed. The law works hand in hand with tradition, turning legal rules into cultural habits that endure even when enforcement is invisible. For Filipinos working overseas, millions of them scattered across the globe, the flag takes on an even deeper emotional weight. In foreign lands, it becomes a marker of identity, a reminder of home, and a symbol of dignity in unfamiliar spaces. Overseas Filipino workers often display the flag during community gatherings, cultural events, or moments of national celebration. Yet even abroad, the same rules are observed with care. The flag is handled properly, folded neatly, and never treated as a novelty. Distance does not weaken respect. It often strengthens it. The law may exist on paper in the Philippines, but its spirit travels wherever Filipinos go. Comparisons with other countries reveal just how unusual the Philippine approach truly is. Some nations allow flag desecration as a form of protected speech, viewing restriction as a threat to personal freedom. The Philippines takes a different path, one shaped by its history of losing control over its own symbols. Freedom, in this context, is not diminished by restraint. Instead, restraint is seen as an act of collective respect. The law reflects a cultural belief that freedom and responsibility must coexist. You are free to speak, protest, and express dissent, but not at the expense of a symbol that represents generations of shared sacrifice. There have been controversies, of course. Artists, activists, and designers have sometimes clashed with authorities over creative interpretations of the flag. These moments spark national conversations about where respect ends and expression begins. Yet even in disagreement, the dialogue itself shows how deeply the flag matters. People don't argue over things they don't value. Each controversy becomes a mirror, reflecting changing attitudes while reaffirming the core principle. The flag is not neutral fabric. Carries weight. These debates ensure that the law remains relevant, not frozen in time, adapting carefully without abandoning its original purpose. What's often misunderstood is that strict flag laws don't erase individuality. They reinforce collective identity. In a country made up of thousands of islands, hundreds of languages, and diverse cultures, the flag becomes one of the few unifying constants. It reminds Filipinos that despite differences in region, belief, or background, there is a shared story. The law protects that story from being fragmented or trivialized. In doing so, it quietly answers a deeper question. How does a nation remain united without forcing uniformity? For the Philippines, the answer lies in shared respect rather than shared opinion. As younger generations grow up in a globalized world, the challenge becomes transmission, not enforcement. How do you pass on reverence in an age that values disruption? How do you explain restraint to those raised on remix culture? The Philippine flag law now serves as both boundary and bridge, setting limits while inviting reflection. It asks young Filipinos not just to obey, but to understand. Why does this matter? What was paid for this symbol to exist? When those questions are asked sincerely, the law transforms from restriction into responsibility, from rule into reminder. In many ways, the Philippine flag law is less about the flag itself and more about memory. Memory of colonization. Memory of resistance. Memory of lives lost so future generations could stand under their own colors. Laws fade, governments change, but memory is fragile. Once it erodes, it rarely returns in full. By protecting the flag, the Philippines safeguards its collective memory against time, trend, and forgetfulness. It ensures that even as the world moves faster, some things are handled slowly, deliberately, and with care. So when you see the Philippine flag flying, perfectly oriented, carefully raised, never treated lightly, you're not just seeing national pride. You're seeing a conversation between past and present, stitched into fabric. One of the strictest flag laws in the world exists not because the Philippines is rigid, but because it remembers what it cost to raise that flag freely. In a world where symbols are everywhere and meaning is often thin, the Philippines chose a different path, to protect meaning first. And perhaps that's why the flag still speaks, not loudly but powerfully, to anyone willing to listen. Thanks for watching.